Today we're chatting with the founder of Devour Sweets about what it takes to succeed as a first-generation entrepreneur, one brownie at a time. You do not want to miss this one, so don't you change that dial or drop that phone. We're about to level it up and shatter the mold. Question. In a world where groupthink is the norm, others want what you've earned, and thinking for yourself will get a target painted on your back, how do you flip the script and level up your business, your money, relationships, your health, your status, and your life? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Andrew S. Kaplan, and it's time to shatter the mold. Welcome to another episode of Shatter the Mold. Andrew S. Kaplan, really excited to be here with you today. We've got a really cool, interesting interview on the way, but before we get there, quick update as always on the last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read. Whether you found it from the Yahoo article last year, or the USA Today article this year, or the Forbes article this year, or whether a friend told you about it, or you just heard about it through this podcast, or some other way, whoever you are, wherever you heard about it, thank you so much for purchasing the book. Thank you for giving your feedback. Thank you to anyone who left a 5-star rave review, or to anyone that emailed me letting me know how you're using the content and how you're liking it. And of course, also thank you to all the YouTube subscribers that are checking out the content in that format. If you want to check out the book or the YouTube channel, well, the book is available on Amazon by going to lastlawofattractionbook.com. That'll auto forward to the listing where you can get it in Kindle or paperback or audiobook. Or of course, again, the YouTube channel, if you don't want to pull out your wallet, that's youtube.com/Andrew Cap. With that said, let's dive straight into today's interview. I'm going to switch mics and we're going to have a good conversation with Kat. All right, I'm super pumped for today's guest. This is going to be a really interesting one. Katarina Alshaier, actually, she's been selling chocolate for a lot longer than most people. In fact, when she was 6 years old, the day after Halloween, she went to selling her candy. And since then, I guess it's always been in her to do that. Right now, she's a 23-year-old entrepreneur, first generation, and she's the founder of Devour Sweets. And I'm looking forward to just really diving in and picking her brain and seeing where this awesome tendency to do this came from, and how she's so seamlessly pretty much transitioned into what she's doing right now and serving so many people. So with that said, Katarina, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to Shatter the Mold.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's dive in first. Like, here you're 6 years old, and where most kids are just like, you know what, I'm just gonna eat all this candy. You're like, nah, I'm gonna go sell it instead. Like, do you remember how that kind of even like popped into your mind that you were gonna do that instead?
I think it's something that's always been natural because I have fun trick or treating. Don't get me wrong, but I just never, I had my favorite candy, but I just never had a big sweet tooth that would finish the whole basket. So I'm like, it was just an instinct to get rid of it, to sell it.
Mm. So,
Handfuls for $1. So
and
yeah.
how'd that go when you were first selling at 6 years old? Were there people buying it up?
Yes, and I don't know, it was probably a mix of just being nice and I mean, I would sell it to my little brother. Like I just didn't care.
Easy access,
And
go where the customers are, right next door, right?
exa- exactly, any adult that I saw, any kid, my own brother, I just didn't
Nice.
care. But I think it's always been something natural for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like instinct. And I think those are those purebreds, if you will, those purebred entrepreneurs that you hear story after story about that selling. They're selling their candy, selling baseball cards, and
Yeah.
it's just
It's like the thing that
instinctful.
made them happy as a kid, they just carry over into being an adult because it fills them with passion and joy and helps fuel
Exactly,
their entrepreneurial journey.
exactly.
I love it. I love it. So, just to, I mean, obviously you're the founder of Devour Sweets. Like, what is your level of involvement on the company? Are you, um, is it very kind of like, is a large team? Is it a small team? Are you doing some of the shipping? Are you just doing some of the baking? Like, where do you fit into the mix, and who else is involved in it with you?
As of right now, I am the baker, I am the UPS person, I am the social media manager, I am the photographer, I am the what else would you want to call it? I'm the poster queen, if you will, brownie queen. Like
Nice.
right now, and it's kind of all me.
Mm,
But again, if you tell that to an outside person, it sounds like a lot, but when it's your baby, it's fun. Every little aspect, every moving piece is fun to be a part of.
Mm, right. You will
So,
see. I mean, I hear and like I get when you love it, it's doable. But I imagine when those big orders come in,
mhm,
if it's just you, there's got to be a lot of time management and energy management skill that goes into the process.
yes, actually, recently I had a situation because I'm in South Florida, and it was a friend of mine whose event that I go to. It's a monthly event,
Hmm.
and it's been the last 2 years that I've gone to it, where every business relationship that I have has spiraled out of this event. So I'm very strict about blocking my schedule for it. But she called me on Monday, and the event was on a Wednesday, and she needed 80 boxes,
Mm,
80 of our gift boxes, which
wow.
is 160 brownies. And I had no problem doing it. I said, yeah, of course. And so I got the order late Monday, and I did it all on Tuesday. So it was about 5 hours of baking. And then I braked, did other stuff. And then at night, I packed everything up. So it's discipline, it's time management. But again, when it is just you, you've developed such a system and such a flow with what you
Hmm.
do. It's you kind of just spinning through the kitchen, like
Right.
a
Yeah.
little
Now,
tornado. Yeah.
I know like a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the show. I mean, some of them deal with inventory,
Hmm.
but a lot of them are, information products, services, things like that. Part of this also is inventory management. Because like
Hmm.
you've got to you've got to basically be a good guesser to an extent about the ingredients, or you have to have easy access to those ingredients whenever you need to get them. Has that
Right.
ever been a challenge, or is that something where you're located, you just have easy access to whatever you need, and you've got a good system in place for that also?
A little bit of both, actually, because I have my. I'm lucky that where I am, close to. Uh, I'm close to two wholesale stores, Costco and BJ's. So getting the ingredients isn't, a big issue for me, luckily. But sometimes you think you've measured out everything, because I
Hmm.
have I have my inventory where I have my bowls, where each bowl is a pan, and a whole pan makes bakes like anywhere from 9 to 22 brownies, depending on the cutter that I use. But a lot of times I've learned how to keep my ingredients stocked up to overflow, to not have that problem that I have had where I'm in the middle of baking and I run out of chocolate. I'm in the
Mm,
middle of baking and I don't have enough eggs, and I have to like turn off stuff to go restock, to come back and bake. So again, it's one big learning process, and
mm.
you learn how to be more prepared and efficient. To you rather have an abundance of things you're not going to use than be in the middle of production and you don't have anything and you
Right,
run out of
right.
stuff.
And if I'm not
So
mistaken, you've been doing this for like about 5 years now, right?
4 years, yes.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah,
In your fifth year now, and I guess you've learned enough lessons the hard way that it becomes a seamless piece of everything. Um,
exactly.
one other thing I wanted to bring up with you, because we were chatting and doing Facebook Messenger, and I was asking questions about like the process of getting your stuff for a friend, and it seems to me also like because you have this level of direct involvement, when someone like has a request about functionality for the website or options or things like that, it's like you're getting this direct feedback. And my understanding is, I mean, obviously within reason, as long as it makes sense and as long as it's kind of like in your wheelhouse, you're implementing changes, giving the ability for people to write custom cards on more products and things of that nature. Talk about a little bit about that, like how many people come to you with stuff and how much can you actually implement for them?
It's funny because I say my customers grow my business, because I'm just one person and one brain. And until somebody continuously asks me if I have vegan or gluten free brownies, I'm not vegan and I'm not gluten free. So that's not on my brain to implement. But
Mhm.
if there's demand for it, I have the means to make the adjustment because essentially I'm at the top. And right now we're small enough where, when you message us for information, for questions, I try to be as instant as possible. I was joking with my mom just yesterday. I'm like, I'm the customer service rep too.
Mm.
Like, if people have questions, I don't want those questions to linger and the impulse dies. That's kind of my thought behind that. And if I can help it, if I can, like for example, uh, if there was enough demand for vegan and gluten-free brownies, so I did my research on what I would need to do to implement that, and it's actually not that hard. So it's like I want to cater to as many people as I possibly can
Hmm.
without stinging on quality and without jacking up prices. So how can I do that? And so I try to serve as many people as possible. And again, with I think it was you that asked me about doing custom messaging for the Bites boxes. And sure enough, I I made this little tweak because a lot of little things I can tweak right away, and it's not a big issue.
Hmm.
And that same afternoon you asked me, I had two orders for Bites boxes that people had little custom messages for.
Right. You
And
got
so
really good timing.
it was
Yeah.
good timing. And like I said, you guys, my customers, grow my business because I'm one person and I learn and I grow through what the demand is, what their need is for.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great reminder because you are right now, just from a staffing perspective, small.
Mhm.
So you're agile. You can make quick decisions. You don't have to run it by a committee. You don't have to
Exactly.
think about it. You don't have to have some kind of fact finding mission. You don't have to worry about other people in the company having disagreements and trying to hold up the process. You're like, okay, I'm the founder, I'm the owner. This makes sense. I'm here, I'm moving with it. And then you just move. And then
Exactly.
before you know it, the functionality improves, the user interface improves, the user experience improves, and the
Exactly.
quality even of the products improve as you meet those increasing demands with people.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. So everything you're doing here, I mean, you're for someone who's in like just in their fifth year of doing this. I mean, that's young, 23 years old. I mean, you started when you were just a teenager.
Mhm.
When you were starting this, was a decision already made like, yeah, I'm doing this, or was it more of like an experiment of like, let's see where this goes and let's see if I'm really passionate about this?
Yeah, well, it was falling back on what I've done before,
Mm,
right? Chocolate was always my go to for a quick buck, whether it was Halloween candy in middle school, it was chocolate bars, and I dabbled in brownies junior year of high school. And I'm going to give you a little quick backstory of how we got here. It was Thanksgiving of 2016. And, you know, I'm an instinctful entrepreneur. It's just who I am. There's certain things where my brain doesn't, it's just different from everybody else's. But as you get older, you kind of have to really grow thick skin to continue that entrepreneurial journey, if you
hmm.
will, because it's cute before you're 18, and then you're 18 and it's not so cute anymore. It's like you're supposed to hit a reality wall or something like that, whatever you will. But it was Thanksgiving of 2016. My best friend's cousin and I were talking, and she was just asking me what I was doing, what I'm up to. I was like 2 years into college at that point, or 2 years out of high school, whatever it was. And I'm like, I responded shy, saying, "Well, I want to own my own business." She's like, "Great. What are you doing about that?" I said, "Well, I kind of sold brownies in high school." She's like, "Great. You still doing that?" I said, "No." She's like, "Why not?" And I didn't have an answer for that.
Mm.
And that was the first person that was actually excited about me starting a business. I'd never talked about it. I'd never sounded enthusiastic. I was shy about it. I was like a closeted entrepreneur in a way, even though since I'm a kid, I have a reputation for, you know, being wanting to sell everything just to make money.
Got
And
it.
so it was kind of when I was 18, I wanted to start a clothing line. And I listened to too many people, too many voices were in my head. and it never got off the ground because I let so many voices talk me out of it. Right? So many voices were telling me this and that, and the production was too much and this and that. But at the end of the day, I let too many people in to my head.
Mm,
Brownies was a thing I had done a little bit in high school. It was chocolate, I knew chocolate, and it was a business that I could start, and I didn't have to rely on anybody. I could just bake the brownies and sell them.
mm,
And then
love it.
2 weeks later, I tested the idea out on a family friend who's still a regular to this day. And he didn't have as much confidence in what I was selling him. He just did it to be nice. And it ended up being a giant hit. And the people he would give them to got addicted. So he kind of got stuck in a way. And so, Brownies was a business that I could start and grow on my own.
Mm,
Not that I, want to continue this on my own, because then I'm just a small business, and that's just not. Clearly, if you can see my background, I'm not a small thinker,
right.
right? So at some point, adding people on my team, I don't look at it as hiring people or hiring employees. I look at it as adding another pair of hands to my team.
Hmm.
And every single pair of hands, I understand the labor. I understand the process. And so I appreciate every little help I get. But at the end of the day, it's not just going to be me forever.
Yeah.
Hopefully not even soon. I can start adding that second pair of hands.
Yeah. An extra piece of this that's occurring to me as we talk about this is when you add to your team, it's going to be very clear for you very early how good someone is, how hard of a worker they are, because you've done all the jobs. So you know all the mistakes. You know when something is growing pains. You know when something's them just learning versus not really trying or versus not being committed. You can
Yeah.
kind of spot those tells. I think it's a very important thing. You know, not all entrepreneurs have the luxury or the ability to be in all parts of their business early on, so they can't spot that. But it sounds like, at the very least, because you're doing so much right now, you have that luxury.
Yeah, I think, you know, I know a lot of bakers, but that doesn't mean because you're very skilled at something that you necessarily have the, how do I say this, the internal infrastructure to
Hmm.
grow a business, right?
Yeah.
You're very skilled at baking and you're probably better than me, but that doesn't mean you want to take on the burden of a whole business. But keeping that in mind, I want to hire people that love to bake, right? I want to hire people that are better bakers than me,
Mm.
that just don't want the burden of a whole business on their shoulders. And so adding people on my team, I would the start of that is, do you love to bake? Right? Why do you love to bake? What have you baked before? Because the process and the system I have in place now, being a one woman production, it's easy to just say, these are our bowls. Each bowl goes for a pan. We have everything stacked and shelved. You literally just have to take it, put it in the bowl, mix it, melt the chocolate, throw it in. Like all the process is kind of laid out already. It's just a matter of when that person does come on, it's easy to show them the ropes.
Hmm.
And if you love to bake, it'll make both our lives more fun. Because I also have a lot of fun in the kitchen, right?
Right.
I love having my headphones on and I'm in my zone. I would want anybody on my team to enjoy it like I do.
Yeah, it shouldn't
So
be a chore for them. It should be something where they're actually like enjoying the entire process every step of the
exactly,
way.
exactly. So, having hiring people, I want to hire people that love to bake, that I can just show them the ropes. Our system's already done for you, and let's just have fun,
Hmm.
right? So, being in all those moving pieces of my business allows me to easily show people this or show people that. But I also don't want to just hire people off the street just to hire people for
Hmm.
helping hands. I want, people that love it like I do, like I've grown to love it.
Right, right. Got it. So, I mean, obviously, part of this is, the question of, are you coming up with, new selections, new options? And Like, where did you begin here? I mean, did you come up with your own recipes? Did you have to do research? Were they in the family? Like, how did you get that part of the business set in place from the very beginning?
I started just baking plain brownies.
Mm,
And it's funny when you're trying to keep a regular customer from getting bored, that's where your creative juices really seem to come out. Because it's like, okay, what do I have to do to keep him buying? Because you can only buy plain brownies for so long, right? So I started doing research and playing with, different flavors, different ideas. And I have the original four, like I like to call them. I don't even, you have the classic brownies, but then I have my original four that deviated from plain, which was walnuts, salted caramel, cheesecake, and red velvet. So those I've kind of had as I add new flavors. In my brain, those are the original four.
mm,
And I've added seasonal flavors. We have our pumpkin, we have our peppermint. I have a s'mores one where it's, marshmallow frosting with chocolate chips on it. For my 24th birthday back in March, I released two. I released a confetti brownie with the sprinkles and your choice of lemon or strawberry frosting. And St. Patrick's Day is like a week after my birthday.
mm.
So I released our St. Patrick's Day flavor then. So it's kind of, again, rolling through the year, trying to keep people interested. You try to get as creative as possible. And you just, I like to say I roll with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And just, I kind of go as I make them as I go. I don't necessarily have things planted in my brain, but ideas pop up all the time, and I play with every idea. And only after a certain amount of time that I fed them to, my regular, he's at the point where he doesn't care as long as I mix them up.
Hmm.
And so he's kind of like my guinea pig, where he lets me be his guinea pig, obviously, and test new flavors. And he loves that, testing new flavors, because he doesn't want to keep. Nobody wants to keep buying the same plain thing.
Hmm.
So
Nice.
yeah,
So, are these things that you come up with yourself, or do you get like requests? So people like, hey, can you please make a pumpkin flavor? Like, do you get requests from people that helps you make this decision, or is this just all you experimenting?
both.
Hmm.
Some
Okay.
people ask me about, marshmallows or chocolate chips, and I've played with different marshmallows. I've played with ideas. I know what bakes good, what doesn't. So,
Hmm.
and some ideas, it's just me seeing stuff in the store, passing stuff, passing different toppings, different colors. I'm like, let me just play with this. And if
Yeah.
I like it, if other people respond to it, eventually I add it to the menu, but I don't add it right away.
Right.
Like like I'll give you an exclusive this summer. I'm releasing our coconut flavor. I've
Nice.
never I've never actually released it. I've had it and I baked it, so I know, which version is better to put out there. But it's after a lot of trials. Like when I started the business, I didn't tell anybody else for 6 months. I
Mm,
serviced that one customer, playing with different flavors, just playing around, until I told people. I like launched it officially. Like
hmm.
I started back in December of 2016 playing, but I didn't launch it officially till like July of 2017.
Got
Right?
it.
So I'm very, not analysis paralysis, but I like to make sure I got the process down
Hmm.
and people like it before I officially put it on the menu.
Right. Now, obviously, as we spoke here, you're agile. You know, you can make moves. You can experiment. Have you got to the point where you're experimenting with even like the size portions? Like, is there and has there been like a massive jumbo brownie that you just put out if people almost want to treat it like a cake or something?
I haven't done that yet, and I think you just planted that in my head.
Mm,
But
hmm.
I think it tends to be with my different packaging. Right,
Mm,
so I have my bites boxes, I have my executive boxes, I have our gift boxes and our little golden boxes that are better for events, or now I have them in like little golden towers,
hmm.
but they're all different sizes. So not one, because I have my cutters that I keep the sizes consistent, but one cutter doesn't fit this box. Like the cutter that I use for our bites box that I cut the brownies in little cubes, that cutter doesn't work for my executive box.
Mm-hmm.
So again, playing with different packaging based on sometimes what people want, or different, or elevating what we already do,
Yeah.
that results in me figuring out, oh, if I use this cutter I get more brownies out of a pan, right?
Yeah.
So I've played with it. I've, tested out different ideas. Some cut better than others, but I haven't done a jumbo brownie yet. So
Yeah. I'm no expert, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But if you have a certain one or two flavors that you get a lot of demand for and a lot of sales, that
yeah,
might be an indicator that you'd experiment with something like that and see how it goes over. You might be pleasantly
yeah.
surprised. But again, you know better than me. That's just me going off intuition.
Well, I think it's fun taking a bunch of ideas and throwing stuff at the wall, like I said, and just seeing what looks good.
Hmm.
Again, because I'm very picky on that too. Like I took off our classic brownie, our plain brownie, for a while because it just didn't look like I wanted it to look. So for
Hmm.
a long time, I didn't have a plain brownie on our menu. And then I figured out how to shave out the top so it looks better and it doesn't look like this cracked thing that some second grader baked.
Yeah.
And you see what I'm
It's all about the
saying?
presentation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's even like hearing you talk, like I'm coming up with all these ideas that I'll just after we hit the stop button, I'll throw them at you because I don't know which ones you want to use, but it's clear though because you're so agile. There's so much possibility here, which is awesome. I'm wondering with all those requests that have come in, which one surprised you the most?
Well, actually, there's maybe our gold brownies, to be honest.
Hmm.
Our gold brownies, I I got the idea when I for my 21st birthday, because I went to this restaurant where they had a big money cake, and it was like this. There was gold flakes, and the bar of ice cream was a solid gold brick, and my brain couldn't just eat a cake and go home. Like I had to go home and see how I can make this into a brownie, and it took me like 2 years before I figured out a right way to do it. And people were, critiquing. People were like, this, or why don't you paint it? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And going through trial and error, it gets you to a place where it's like, oh, that was going through that trial and error and listening to different ideas. You never know what idea is going to work.
Yeah.
You know, I had with my sprinkles brownie, baking the sprinkles, they look good, but then they cut terribly, right? So I had to figure out, how do I get the sprinkles to stick, because people are complaining the sprinkles are falling off, and it became a better idea because now you have the option of strawberry frosting or lemon frosting,
Mm,
and that wouldn't have happened if baking them worked, right? If they stuck on.
right.
And so, different ideas, little tweaks, like marshmallow brownie or marshmallow frosting. Well, the marshmallows don't bake as well and they come out weird looking, but a s'mores brownie with marshmallow frosting on it and chocolate chips actually tastes better. You have more in that one bite, and it looks better.
Mm,
So,
nice.
different flavors, trial and error. And again, I love all ideas because you never know what's going to be successful, what's
Yeah.
going to, work. I have two different flavors of pumpkin because some people don't want cheesecake. And
Mm,
so, like, why don't you just do a pumpkin spice? And I did a pumpkin spice. I'm like, oh my God. So, it's just, again, my customers challenge me. They grow the business for me. I'm just a vessel that bakes the brownies.
mm. Love it. So we've spoken obviously about the operations aspect, and we've spoken about the creative aspect. Diving into the marketing aspect, what what do you find yourself doing that's like working, that clicking, that really resonates with your product and then how it connects with people? Is there anything that you're doing that you think, okay, I'm glad I made this decision, or this was a really good move?
In terms of marketing, you said?
Hmm.
Well, I think what I've learned is putting, and this is probably what I'm going to capitalize on going forward, is putting myself as the ultimate, not just poster person, but actually testimonial, right? So little fun videos of showing people different ways to eat the brownie, you know, having
Mm,
fun with it, throwing it up in the air, catching it in my mouth, like just being myself. And if I'm, because a lot of times when I cut the brownies, I'll have a little like edges left over. Well, that's what I get. That's what the owner gets. The owner gets the scraps.
mm,
And so if I have a plate of scraps and I'm having coffee or I'm having chocolate milk or I'm having a drink, because sometimes, having a drink with brownies is actually really good.
mm,
And showing people different ways I'm having my own brownie. It kind of like, oh, it's not just buying it in a box and, I have to finish the whole thing, or different fun ways of sharing it with people. Ultimately, putting myself in the hot seat and being myself
mm.
in terms of how I enjoy the brownies. And it's better than just taking a picture
Right.
and making your mouth water, because that only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
But if you have, you know, the visual, like for Valentine's, I wanted to do something fun. I have a sense of humor. So I went to the dollar store and I got like those red like tablecloths. I got everything for $1 actually, like from the dollar store. I found the one rose that they had, and I had some different Valentine's orders already. Not orders. I had them before I boxed them up. So I boxed them up for myself.
Hmm.
And I did a fun little video of, roses or brownies. I threw the roses away and I took the brownies. And then I had a little thing where I had an executive box or a bites box, because a lot of people, they don't want to buy a whole box for themselves, but they could buy a bites box for themselves, right? So throwing away the executive box and keeping the bites box for myself and having fun stuffing my face with brownies, I got
Mm,
a lot of good feedback, a lot of fun feedback on that video, and I
right.
sold a lot. And I sold not only more than I did last year, but new customers,
Right. So yeah,
right?
what I'm hearing from you here is that basically your marketing strategy is the infusion of genuine fun. And if it's
Yes,
fun and it works and it's I don't know if interactive is the right word, but certainly it's something that people can really connect with, that's the direction you like going in, because that's the whole point
yeah,
of the food. The food's supposed to be a really good visceral experience for them anyway.
exactly. And I think that's at the core of this business, at the core of what I love to do, is just genuine fun.
Mm,
Like it doesn't have to be serious. It's brownies, like and like you said, interactive, right? Showing people different applications. Like the other day, I posted a box and I put the little emojis, like
mm-hmm,
little house emoji,
mm-hmm,
the little key emoji. I put those in the middle row of the box. And I said, hey, realtors, like this, if this would be a fun way to put a new homeowner's key in the box.
mm-hmm.
And I posted it and I sent it to all my realtor friends. And the response was like, that's such a good idea. I didn't even think about that. I was just talking about these brownies the other day. And the more you show people how they can have different ways to enjoy what we have, it kind of gets them thinking, oh, so it's not just for this year, so it's not just for gifts. I can order one kind of box for gifts, and I can order a bites box for myself.
Mm.
And because of the shelf life, I don't have to stuff my face because they're gonna go bad, right? So interactive application, genuine fun, that's
I
kind
love
of
it.
the
It's
secret
so interesting
sauce.
because I hear you talk about this stuff and all these ideas that may be good or may be bad pop into my head because
Yeah,
there's so many possibilities. Like, what was the you said you have a guinea pig. You lovingly called him that. What's his first name?
Frank.
Frank?
Yeah,
So like if again, call this a good idea or a bad idea, like I wonder if he has a suggestion of a flavor he wants to try and then you could like name it the Frank. I wonder if like around Halloween you have your own special with dark chocolate and you call it the Black Cat, yeah,
yeah,
KAT for your name. I hear you
Yeah.
talking about edges. I wonder, because you say sometimes those aren't good, but I mean they're still good tasting. I wonder if those could be used as like an adjunct or almost like a garnish as around like larger stuff or something like that. I see, like I hear you talking about this. It sounds like really cool because you have so many possibilities in front of you, and how you can make the food and the enjoyment of it such a visceral, engaging experience that people not only will enjoy for themselves, but they'll want to share it. They'll want to gift it to other people. And by the way, this was my impression. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but the feeling that I got going through your website, it's almost like seemed like it was an invitation to get them as gifts. It's like get one for yourself also, but it seems like it's on like leaning out in this direction. This is going to make a great gift for you to give to somebody else.
Yeah, we have different flavors, different kinds of packaging for
Mm,
that because nobody, I think the first way to introduce something to somebody may not be for themselves all the time. It's,
mm,
if I have a birthday coming up or if I have this event or that event or, if I want to send this to somebody real quick, that's uh, their first experience with us is a gift, right? And it's like, okay, I give it to somebody. Let me get something for myself now, right? In my
mm.
next order. And then the next order is, okay, wait, I want this one and this one. And let me send this one to that person, right? So we try to, again, show you every idea of a gift, right? Whether it's a little bites thing, whether it's whatever. And you can have your own fun yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we want it to be inviting, like you said, which I'm glad you said that. I'm glad that's your experience because I'm big on experiences in general in life. I
Mm,
feel like everything should be an experience. Like why not? Whether it's this or that or brownies, and I think that is what one of the distinguishing things with us, if you want to compare us to anybody else, is I want you to feel the experience
mm.
of, you know, just from the site to the ordering to the custom messaging, that's experience is what people come back for.
Got it. Cool, love it. So we're almost done here. A couple more questions. First one, just I want to ask, like, as you've done this, what, in your opinion, is the biggest business or marketing life lesson that you've learned throughout this process of building your company in this way?
I think if I had ideas of, I think people get stuck when they want to start a business
Hmm.
on all these ideas. And when I say ideas, I mean, they feel like they have to have all these flavors at once, or they feel like they have to have all the packaging figured out. My favorite story to joke about, or my favorite thing to joke about, is our evolution of packaging. Because I kid you not, I spent, let's call it $15 on the initial ingredients for my first $40 sale. And you know what that $40 sale was on?
Hmm.
A dollar store tray, and wrapped in cling wrap.
Hmm.
A dollar store tray and cling wrap. There's so many people that will not start because they don't want to start like that.
Right.
And I get all these notifications, these memories pop up of different packaging memories. And one came up the other day. It was like a white box, a white cake box from, I think it was Michael's. Okay. And I wrote Devour Sweets in a Sharpie marker. Okay. That box got shipped to Chicago and that box got delivered. It looked, I don't know where it looked greasy. It looked nothing.
Wasn't your best presentation work, in other words?
I think the dollar store tray looks better, to be
Mm,
honest with you. But people get hung up on, you know, they feel like they have to be at point Z before getting through ABC, right?
mm,
And if I was like that, if I didn't just start, I don't think I would be. I think I'd be kicking myself if I have to. Oh, I have to. I don't even think I'd even start because that was my big thing too. With my first business, that never went anywhere. It was all these ideas and all these, you know, barricades I put in front of myself that I couldn't start. Right? I just started this business with a dollar store tray and cling wrap. Okay,
Mm,
I don't even remember, and that was a $40 order. I would not pay $4 for that, to be honest. But keeping yourself, you have to have a business plan. You have to have this. You have to have that. I need to get incorporated. I need to have a business plan. I need to have all these flavors set up, right? I started with one flavor and then I grew it to four. And I don't even know, we have different flavors and different seasons. And, I keep growing, but I take it as I go. I
mm,
don't put too much thought into it. I love ideas. I'm a creative person, right? So I love creating new things. And I was never in the kitchen before this. Don't get like I'm still not that much in the kitchen, to be honest, if it's not for brownies.
mm,
But I love creating, right? But if I kept myself from doing things because I felt like I needed to have a business plan, I needed to have this, I needed to be incorporated, I needed to, you know, what if I need to do a storefront? What if I just do a storefront like everybody else? Whoa. I still tell people to this day that storefront will come when we're an established brand and it's little boutiques in select locations,
mm,
right? Because when the pandemic hit, a month before everything shut down, I did a pop up at a sweet shop in Miami. I don't know what that sweet shop is doing right now, right? And around that time, I was getting a lot of like pushback from people that were like, you should open a store, you should open a brick and mortar, this and that. I thrived because I was online. I thrived because people can place an order, people can hit me up and text me and whatever and come pick up their order. They don't have to, I didn't have to worry about an overhead of a store. I didn't have to worry about that. And some people's first thought is a brick and mortar.
mm.
Brick and mortar, brick and mortar is going through a slow, painful death. And I
Yep.
told my friend the other day, I would rather do an app long before I do a store
Mm,
because I want the convenience. I want to elevate the experience before committing to something like that. So I think people block themselves with everything that they feel like they need to have.
got it. Got it.
Just
Cool.
start. Just start and roll with it. You'll figure it out.
Love it.
That's what I tell everybody.
Love it. Cool. So, if people want to check out, this awesome operation you've got going on, where should they go?
They can go right to our site if they want,
Hmm.
devoursweets.us. And our social is at the bottom of the page. So whether you love Instagram or Facebook, if you want to go to our Instagram, devour.sweets, and connect with us there.
Awesome. Awesome. And last question. I know you just gave an insightful answer to just, business advice for people, but let's get a little bit more for you now. Like if you can go back 5 or 10 years in the past and give that younger version of yourself any kind of advice, it could be business advice, it could be life advice, whatever. What would that be?
Don't listen to anybody. I think I'm serious. I not in a way of I don't love your ideas. I mean, don't let too many voices in your head scare you. If
Keep
I
your
could
own
have told my
counsel.
if I could have told my 18-year-old self that, I probably would have had a clothing line instead of a brownie business. Now everything happens for a reason. And I
Mm,
like to say nothing completely dies. I always put it on the shelf because you never know when I'm going to take that down. And now that I've met so many different people, that clothing store might do better. But if I could tell my younger self anything, just trust yourself.
mm,
Because I started it around 20, I'd say, the brownies. If I would have had 2 years if I started 18, right? But I didn't trust myself. I thought everybody else knew better and it just scared me. And so just don't listen to anybody
mm.
and trust your own self.
Got it. I'm guessing Frank is a little relieved that you held off on the clothing line just for now, so he can
Yeah.
continue to be the guinea pig in the meantime. And Kat, before we run off, I understand you've got a little awesome perk for listeners to Shatter the Mold, regarding if they do want to check out Devour Sweets, right?
Yes. So for the special listeners of this fun interview, all you have to do for 20% off your first order is use the first three letters of Andrew's name, KAP. You put those in and you get 20% off your order.
Awesome. Thank you for that perk. I'm hoping some of my listeners will take advantage of that. So again, guys, discount code KAP, CAP, in honor of my last name as it appears on the last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read.
Yeah.
Kat, this has been really awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for sharing your vision and for sharing your business insights as being like a one-woman show and explaining all the moving parts and how you stay agile, how you keep your own counsel, but you're also letting the customer help guide you in terms of what's going to be good for the business and how you basically keep that balance. Thank you so much for sharing today. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you again, Kat. That was a really interesting, really awesome interview. Guys, again, you've got that discount code courtesy of Kat when you go to the Devour Sweets website. And I have a funny feeling that anything you order, you will very much enjoy. With that said, before I go, also a quick reminder, if you haven't checked out my book, The Last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read, you can just feel free to go to lastlawofattractionbook.com, or you can check out my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Andrew Cap. And if you haven't subscribed to this show yet, just pull out your phone, hit that subscribe button right now. Also, while you're at it, leave a quick, honest written review and stay tuned. We got some more awesome guests on the way very, very soon. I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to Shatter the Mold at www.shatterthemoldpodcast.com. My name is Andrew S. Kaplan. My name is Andrew S. Kaplan, and it's time to shatter the mold.